everybody.
Hi.
I love going to the movies. Going to a movie theater and seeing a movie is one of my true pleasures. One of the things I love doing is getting my soda, my popcorn, and goobers. Love that. Getting to my seat, seeing that big screen, sitting back, and watching a movie. It takes me from the real world into the world where I can pull out my lightsaber and fight stormtroopers. I can walk up to a bar and ask for a martini, stirred, not shaken. I can see a woman across the hall, the casino, and I can walk up to her with lots of confidence. And when she asks my name, I say, Byrd, Arthur Byrd. Can you remember when you were in the theater and you heard iconic movie quotes? You're going to need a bigger boat. You're going to ask yourself one question. Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Even if you're not a movie buff, you may have heard those quotes from Jaws, Dirty Harry, and of course, The Godfather. Hopefully many of you got a chance to see at least one of those classics in a movie theater. Today, movies and movie going is a little bit different because of innovations. You've got not only the internet, you've got computers, video games, and cable television. How does that affect our community? Well, in a small way, it does, because it affects an unserved and also neglected segment of our community. Now, innovation is good, but fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, we need a different approach with innovation for the 50-plus crowd. And we can do it with social innovation. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines innovation as the act of introducing new ideas, devices, or methods. Whereas social innovation is defined almost the same, but new strategies, concepts, and ideas that social needs should be met of all kind. Now, they use the word new. I don't really think that it has to be new. Now, when you say it's new, it means that it's forward and advancing. I feel that you can go forward, then you may have to take a step back and use something old or use something that you've used before to actually advance a cause. It's almost like a dance. Anybody ever cha-cha? You go back, you go forward, you keep moving and moving, and you eventually get across the dance floor. The community experience of going to the movies is one of the best, especially if you're with an enthusiastic audience. Your heart jumps when you see a scary scene. Your heart cheers when you see the hero save the day in almost a minute, that moment. Everyone feels very great. The benefits of a movie is connecting with other human beings you hardly ever know. Have you ever gone to the movie? How many people do you see that you know? Not a lot. But when you're laughing at the same time, cheering at the same time, you feel as one. For that moment, you forget your cares and get happy. Pardon pun. Well, the percentage of moviegoers 50 or plus remains small. According to GKF MRI, which is a media research center, the actual number of 50 plus is growing, up to 67% since 1995. That is about 26.8 million 50 plus going to the movies. Nancy Utley, she's a co-president of Fox Searchlight, which is a studio that shows independent films. And this is what she said. There is an older audience that is growing. It is underserved, which makes it an obvious and important opportunity. Now, how many of you have gone to the movie theater in the last year? Okay, 3 people, all right. The moviegoer is defined as someone having seen at least one movie in the theater in the past 12 months. In 2012, and I thought this was interesting, there were slightly more female moviegoers than male moviegoers, at 51% versus 49%. Close, but the women are winning. Now, one example of the 50 plus having power at the box office is a movie called The Best Exotic Margot Hotel. Now, this was an interesting movie because it was about British retirees who retired in India. All right, it starred Lady Judi Dench. If you've ever seen the James Bond films, Skyfall, she's the one who plays M. Excellent actress. The movie earned $134 million, okay, worldwide. Now the majority of that was made from 50 plus, the crowd, that segment. So there is a market for the 50 plus out there. Now I personally know the power of 50 plus when I was the chairman of the Flick Clique. Now the Flick Clique was a film group that showed independent films here in the Mahoning Valley. Now my idea for the Flick Clique came from attending the Cleveland International Film Festival. I used to see people at this festival embracing films. They would come out of the films and they would talk about the films. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting, they didn't know each other. They lived in the same city and they didn't know each other. Some of them lived in the same community. So I thought that was an interesting thing. Why couldn't it happen in the Mahoning Valley? So I don't know if this was naive or gutsy, but I just got the number to the Cleveland International Film Festival and called the owner directly. So he and I were talking on the phone, and he was very nice. I won't say his name. Very nice guy. And he said to me, after I asked him the question, how would it be to have a film festival in Youngstown? And he pauses on the phone, and he said to me, independent filmmakers will not want to come to Youngstown to present their films. Now, I got a little shocked, mouth dropped on the floor, and I thought about that, but I really didn't, I guess I really didn't want to know the answer, but I didn't ask him to explain that. So we got off the phone. I thanked him for the opportunity to talk to him, but I was a little upset. I really believed that independent films could really, really go in Youngstown. Now, at the time, and this time was back in the late 90s, I was doing movie reviews for a radio station, and people were coming up to me, and when I had to go to the theater, I had to sign my name, and they recognized who I was. And they asked me, is this movie coming? Is this movie? I said, no, it's so small that it's not going to come here. So, listening to these people, I knew that there was an interest in independent films. So what I did was, I thought, it's got to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And then after a couple lucky incidents, the Flick Clique was created. Our first film was El Postino. It was about an Italian postman in love with a beautiful woman. Great movie. It drew a crowd that was out the door of Austintown cinema. So I knew I was right, and with the help of a lot of people, it worked. Once a month, we brought an independent film to the area. It attracted a diverse audience. We had young, college, but the core group was the 50 or plus crowd. They came in, and one of the greatest moments for me was to watch them before a movie socializing, and then after a movie socializing. It is exactly what I wanted for the Valley. It was coming together, that social innovation of people coming together. We didn't force them, they just did it upon themselves. Before a movie, I would talk with the crowd and tell them what's the upcoming movies. To see their faces excited, these movies, they didn't have to go to Cleveland or Pittsburgh, they were coming here, was one of the greatest joys that I had. Now this is pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter. We even put an ad in the paper so they could come. We did a newsletter which served two purposes. One, to inform them what was going on. Another thing, to educate them about the films that we were going to see. Because I felt that if they were educated about the film, most likely they would come to see the film. The Flick Clique lasted about 5 years. It went to the mid-2000s. The same methods that we use in the Flick Clique can be applied today in the world of Facebook, Twitter, and digital communications. As long as we communicate, we can use social innovation to reach all segments, including the 50 or plus. The only thing we may have to do is the cha-cha.